Now, joining me on the big interview tonight is Ireland's First Lady of Country Music. I'm delighted to say she's here in the studio. Susan McCann, how are you?
I'm very good. Delighted to be here with you, Robert.
It's great to have you in the studio.
I haven't seen you in, as we say up in Uri, in Yonks.
Exactly. It's been a while, but the last time I saw you, I was in your house.
That's how long ago was that? That's a long time ago.
That's about 10 years ago, I think. But I tell everybody about that because I say, do you know who makes the best cup of coffee?
Oh.
Susan McCann, because you said to me that day, you said, do you want your coffee with heated milk?
Yeah.
And you heated the milk on your stove thing for me. And it was the best cup of coffee.
That's the way I make, and my kids, and you know, like kids don't normally like coffee, so they don't.
No.
But my grandkids, I mean.
Yes, yeah.
And they're the same, you know, they love my coffee. And they love my French toast.
I have to come for French toast now.
French toast, great.
And of course, we worked together on radio for a little while as well.
We worked together. We worked for, gosh, must have been a year, was it?
Yeah, exactly, yeah. And your show was great on the radio.
It was great. People would ring in and I'd, play requests and did all the thing that I just loved doing. I love interacting with people. But anyway... They decided not to do country music in that station anymore.
Well, exactly, I know, and they got it wrong. But I suppose the way you've survived in this business, in the music business over the years, is because you've had that natural touch with the general public, haven't you?
Well, that's part and parcel of being a singer.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, there are lots of singers have come and gone, better singers than me probably since I started 43 years ago, but it's important that you bring your fans and friends with you, and when I'm on stage I would be interacting with the audience, getting them to sing along with me and talking to them and going down. You've seen me on stage, you know what I do. And I really enjoy it. Don't enjoy the travelling there as much as I used to when I was a young woman, but I still enjoy singing, still enjoy doing my concerts,
So when did you start singing? What age were you?
Well, I started to sing when I was a very young child at school, really. Like, that time there weren't the facilities in schools that there are now. Yeah. And at lunchtime if it was raining, we would have to stay in the classroom. And the teacher, that Miss Larkin, she was the second teacher I had, and she's gone now, God rest her. But she would have we sing songs, and when she'd get me to sing every day. She'd take me up at the top of the class, and I loved it. Yeah. And then that's when I was very young, and then all the locals sort of knew that I could sing, and I did charity concerts at home in the Foresters Hall in Forkhill, and just when I was 16, I went to it was like a supper dance with my mum and dad. That there was a marquee in Forkhill, and I went to this supper dance with mum and dad, and the John Murphy Cayley band were playing it, and the locals asked me up to sing, and I went up and sang, and 2 weeks later John Murphy came over and asked Dad could I join the band, but I was only 16. So Dad said, yes, on one condition, that you collect her from the door and leave her home at night. So she's not to be, I was too young to be going out to dances, he thought. So that's what happened. John Murphy was married I'm sure in his 40s, God rest his soul. And that was the start of my career when I was 16.
And were your parents musical?
My dad he played the accordion, and my mum both mum and dad were good singers, really. They used to have arguments as to who I took my singing after. Daddy said, no, she took it after me, Bridget. But yeah, it used to be fun listening to the two of them, oh, my mother could sing, and this used to go on. But anyway, they were both, and my husband Dennis's mother and father were very musical. Mm-hmm. And I suppose from that, our grandchildren now, it's sort of, Linda did music, that's what she did at university, and she's now head of department in the Sacred Heart Grammar School in Uri, music. And Brendan, he sings when he's a few in him. And he played the trombone with me for a while, and he just wouldn't practice, so I had to sack him. So then, as time went on, the two kids got married, and Brendan's eldest girl, Sinead, she's very involved in music, extremely talented.
Yes, yeah.
And Linda's daughter, Laura, is the same. She goes to singing lessons and she plays the piano, and So, you know, they have it from both sides. They have it from granny and granddad type of thing, you know. So it's great to see the young ones. It's great. I'm delighted to see them. Sinead plays the accordion, and like none of our two played it. And so that leaves Dennis very happy that Sinead took the accordion after him, you know.
So I'm glad you mentioned Dennis there, because he's been with you, obviously, as a husband and working with you in the business as well.
Well, I was in the John Murphy band that Dennis and I met, you know, and he's been the backbone of the business from day one. He took, he always did my fan club. He was always the musical director. He always organised our trips away and all that. So I was managed by Tony Loughlin for about 15 years, but then Dennis took it over after that. And still does a very good job, still organises. Not that I don't work as much as I used to. You know, I do the odd cruise and do the trips to Spain with the various singers and do concerts, but I'm not able for the travelling anymore, Robin. I'm going to be 70 next year.
Really?
Yes,
are you?
I'm going to be 70 on the 26th of February.
Wow.
So I think I've travelled long enough, really. You know.
Well, you're into kind of new stuff now as well, because you've got the String of Diamonds range out now, haven't
that's
you?
That's right. I have, yeah. Well, because I kept that going because about 25 years ago, I took out an album that I called The String of Diamonds, because we put a lot of country songs. Liam Hurley from Dublin produced it for me, and we put a lot of country songs to a sort of a disco-y beat.
Yeah.
And we called it The String of Diamonds, and it flew.
And still to this day, it's still the best medley album out there.
That
really is.
Thank you very much, Robin. And everybody says it.
And everybody covers it now as well. They want your String of Diamonds.
I know. So I have a friend from home. She's a beautician from Mullabon, and she comes along with me, does my makeup when I'm doing TV shows and that. And when I worked for Irish TV, she did my makeup every day, and so she decided to buy her own, to take out her own brand of makeup.
Right.
Her name is Linda Strain, but she asked me to get involved with her in it, because I always loved makeup and always loved fashion and whatever. So I got involved with her, and I called it kept the String of Diamonds name going. So then I decided, when I was in the various places I was in, people were asking, you know, do you have jewellery?
Yeah.
You know, because the String of Diamonds, the name. Yeah. And I said, no, but I could think about getting it.
Yeah.
So that's exactly what I did. So I've got jewellery, and I'm launching a scarf range as well.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm doing that. I'll have it all done for Christmas.
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah,
okay.
So I have some of the jewellery at the minute, but it's evening wear jewellery.
Yeah.
So I'm doing day wear. So I have that. I'm just in the process of getting that all together, and getting it. I'm going to get it around the hotels, you know, where people can can see that it's out there. Yeah. You know. And
you trained to be a hairdresser as well, didn't you?
I did.
So you could have been a hairdresser.
You wouldn't think to look at me today, but anyway. Yes, I trained to be a hairdresser whenever I sang in the John Murphy band up until I was about 18, and my husband, Dennis, he was in it as well. So we thought, well, we better get a real job, because we enjoyed it so much. Yeah. It wasn't like work, you know. Yeah. So Dennis decided to do accountancy, which he did and qualified in that. And I left it and did hairdressing. I trained here in Belfast. And so, well, you know, I had my own salon for 5 or 6 years while I lived in Forkhill. Then when I got married and came to Newry, I sold the salon in Forkhill.
And could you still do hair today? If I said, Susan, there's a pair of scissors, I need a trim.
I can do hair, no problem. It's something you never forget, you know. Yeah. The basics are all the same. Mind you, I'd need to go and do refresher courses on styles and all that. But the basic hairdressing is just, it's no different really, you know, as long as you can cut and whatever. Do a wee bit of blow drying, you know.
Let's talk music. Do you remember the first time you heard a song on maybe a record or on the radio and you thought, wow, this is amazing, I want to follow that?
I always wanted to sing.
Yeah.
From when I was a wee girl, I always wanted to sing. When I'd be called up in school to sing, I'd love it. Yeah. And my dad, God rest him, he had the greatest faith in me as a singer. He really did. And every opportunity he got, if we were out anywhere, like maybe going for, he would go in for for a pint of Guinness, maybe into a pub. When I was working here, not here, in Newry, when I was at school, I worked in Woolworths on a Saturday.
Right.
And we used to go into him and Mum would come down and make me come from. They wouldn't let me get the bus around. They were real protective of me. They were very strict. Right. That's what they were. But they used to come down and collect me, and Mum would do her shopping, and so we used to go into. It was a pub called Murphy's Pub in Mill Street in Newry, and there was a lady played piano there on a Saturday night. She started me up singing like in the pub. It used to be great. I loved it.
And what was your party piece? What did you always sing?
Well, I always sang Irish songs. Yeah. You know, when I started off first, I sang. I would do Mother's Love's a Blessing was the very first song that I ever learned. Daddy taught it to me. Yeah. And like all the Irish folk songs, you know, like I suppose Brady Gallagher, Eileen Donaghy, they were the prominent singers, you know, whenever I was 16.
Yes.
And then as time went on, and I met John Murphy, and then I became familiar with Philomena.
Yeah.
And she was playing in the same area I played, we played in the sort of the Tyrone Armagh area. We never really went any further than that with that band until I started then professionally with the Storytellers. So I knew Philomena. I'd play Mullaban one night and she'd play it the next, and Cross Midland one night, and you know what I mean? So I got to know her. You know, but it was Irish songs I started to sing first, and then Daddy bought me a Patsy Cline album for my 16th birthday. And I loved the songs. There was all the old Patsy Cline songs, I Fall to Pieces,
and you
Crazy.
did that on the String of Diamonds album as well, yeah?
2 Cigarettes and an Ashtray, all her old songs.
Yeah.
She was a wonderful singer. Loved her and still do, you know.
Tell me about the first big hit you had. That was Big Tom.
Big Tom.
Yeah.
Yeah, and poor Tom passed on. God love him. He was a lovely man.
So you must have been good friends with Big Tom over
I
the
was
years.
very good friends with Big Tom and his family. Yeah, I knew Tom. That's how I got launched, really. That song that I recorded about Big Tom, Michael Cummins, a guy from Galway, wrote that song, and it had been laying in the Top Rank office for maybe a couple of years. And that was the idea that Tony Loughlin came up with. Well, if you record this, all the Big Tom fans will buy it.
Yes,
and Big Tom at the time was massive, which he was till the day he died, as you know. And sure, it went number one after 2 weeks. And that's when there were number ones in Ireland, when there was a chart in Ireland, and when record sales were massive.
Yes, yeah.
Like that's 43 years ago.
And that song as well, it launched you across Europe as well, didn't it? You got lots of interest over there.
And then of course the English thing was big that time. Like you know, there were so many Irish ballrooms all over England that time, because there were so many Irish in England in the late 60s, early 70s. So yeah, so when I'd go, Big Tom, you'd have to sing it 3 or 4 times a night.
I was talking to somebody who was reminiscing the other day about the Galtymore. You must have played there many times.
Many, many times. I could write a book about the Galtymore. Yeah. That was a great place. It really was a great place. And no matter where you played in England, on a Saturday night, when the gig was over, we would all stay in Cricklewood. You know, that's where all the guest houses were that the band stayed in. And at that time, you could have had maybe 5, 6, 7 Irish bands over in England, playing all the Irish areas, and we used to all go back to the Galtymore. Yeah, there'd be maybe every band in the country be in the Galtymore on a Saturday night after. It was great, it really was. We loved it. Michael Burns that owned it, and Michael O'Hara, and still, in fact, Michael O'Hara, he's from Whitecross. I still use him. He's a great guitar player and singer, and I would still use him as part of my band when I'd be doing a tour over there, or even over here. Sometimes it was over. So he worked in the Galtymore and did took in bands and did promotion in the Galtymore for some years, you know. So yeah.
And of course, you've played all over the world in weird places like Russia.
I know.
You did.
I know.
Are there many Susan McCann fans in Russia?
Well, I'll tell you how I came to be in Russia. It was a festival, the White Nights Festival it was called, where there's 3 or 4 nights in the year in that part of the world that it doesn't get dark. It goes, dusky but not dark. And so the festivals, and they call it the White Nights Festival. And I had released albums in South Africa. And so the lady who had me in South Africa had contacts in Russia with her record company. That's how I got there.
Wow.
But I'll tell you one thing, I'll never be back. It was the awfulest place. I hated it. I really did. There were two extremes. There was the very rich or the very poor.
Yeah.
And some of the things that I seen, some of the poor people sitting along the streets at night, like selling jars of pickles and trying cartons of milk. Yeah. It was horrendous. It really was. So much so I really thought that I'd never get home, and I was there for the best part of a week.
Yes, yeah.
Would never want to go back again, really.
And you must have loved America, because the Americans were very good to you, and you got to share the stages over there with some amazing artists.
I know. Yeah, we did. I did it. I was very fortunate. I played we did the Carnegie Hall, and we did the usual American, all the Gaelic Park and all that. But I represented Ireland at Fanfare one year in Nashville, and because it's a fanfare from all over the world, people come. But there was a group of people came down from Florida, who run this huge cultural festival in Florida every February. It goes on like for about 14 days, and they call it the Strawberry Festival. So it's a bit like the show here in Belfast and the agricultural show.
Yes, yeah.
Where they've music and they have all their animals, but the music was the big thing at night. And like they had the top, Gareth Brooks, Tommy Wynette, George Jones, everybody was on that show at night, a different act every night. And I was on during the day on the big stadium. But the people would be in, there'd be 80 to 100,000 people in every day. Yeah. Well, Robin, it was just the best time of my life. I did it about 6 times, 6 years. No, not consecutive years, but like I did it maybe skip a year and then do it. And it was just the best. It still runs actually, but it was really the best festival. That the guy that came to see me took me over. He seen me in at Fanfare. Tommy Wynette was presenting the show that year at Fanfare, and he came up and he said, I'd love for you to come to. And he came from Stewartstown in County Tyrone.
Right.
Originally, that's where he came from, and he left Ireland when he was 4 with his dad, and he went to America. And sure, the rest is history. He ended up owning half of Plant City, but anyway, he was very involved in the festival. And sure, he was delighted to think that I was Irish as well, and so that's how that happened. And we just loved it. We really loved it, But
so who was your favourite out of all the people you met?
I think Gareth Brooks. I thought he was very down to earth, and he came into the dressing room where we were with all the boys and that, and got photographs taken with us. And he wasn't known in Ireland that time. Yes, but I just knew when he was on stage. I came to see his show on the night he was on, and boys, a dear, he was brilliant on the stage, and he wasn't even known in Ireland. But then, like Crystal Gale and Tommy Wynette and George Jones, Porter Wagner and Dolly, and actually everybody was on that stage. It was just wonderful, and we had such fun during the day and all, and it was great. But I was a young woman then, I was well fit to travel, and I had a great time. I used to take Linda with me, my daughter, every year, and she played the piano and did some Irish dancing, and it was an Irish show, really. Yes, so it was great. Yeah, America was very good to me.
And as well as the country stars, you've sang for 2 American presidents as well, haven't you? Not many people can say that.
I'll tell you, that happened too. It was at the festival, actually. At the Florida Festival. I went there I was lucky because they were out doing their campaigning for their presidential reign or whatever. And both times, the first time it was George Bush Sr.
Right.
And he was in the park when I was singing, and the second time it was his son Junior. So I have tapes of them. I don't know whether they ever played them or not, but I give them to them anyway. But it was lovely. Like, I mean, they did listen to me. They were there.
I always remember seeing a photograph of you as well with Stormin Norman.
That's right. I did a show for him.
Norman Schwarzkopf.
Norman Schwarzkopf. Nobody calls it. Hard to pronounce that. He again, through Roy Park, he from the Strawberry Festival, he ran a concert every year to raise money for underprivileged children and sick children and that. So I did the concert, the charity concert for him. And it was lovely to meet him. I have his book at home, signed from him and all that, and a lovely wee note in it, yeah.
Oh, wow.
He's no longer with us now.
Of course, yes. Now, you've won lots of awards over the years as well. The most recent, just a couple of weeks back, the Irish Post Country Lifetime Achievement Award.
Lifetime Achievement Award, yeah. I was delighted with that.
Yeah.
I really was delighted with that. The only thing about that is I can't get anything else.
No.
Can I? Yeah, it was lovely, and working along with Malachy and you know, it was lovely. I was honoured to get that. It's a big award, you know, isn't it?
It
really?
is, yeah.
You know,
yeah.
lifetime achievement, you know.
So I say this to Philomena when I see her as well, but probably you and her are going to go on forever, aren't you?
Well, you know,
the fans aren't going to stop.
No, the fans are not going to stop. Our fans are so loyal, and that is, and like, I'd safely say most of our fans are friends as well, because we know them so well over the years. But Philomena, I don't know how she never stops.
No,
she just, she's continuously on the road. I don't know where she gets the energy. I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
I just couldn't. But anyway, yeah, her and I we did a show together in Castleblaney. The weekend the Big Tom's monument was unveiled, and her and I did a show together in the Inthus Theatre in Castleblaney. Should be the best crack.
Susan, what's next? Is there going to be a new album, or are you just taking
at
it
the
easy?
At the moment, I'm in the process of making a new album,
right.
And O'Brien Print in Dublin want me to write a book. Yeah, so hopefully we'll have it out maybe for next Christmas.
Brilliant, yeah.
Now my album, I'm in the throes of doing it at the minute, but I don't seem to be able to get. I still have about maybe 6 or 8 songs to sing on it. So I don't really know whether I'm going to get it out in time for Christmas or not. But look, if I don't, it'll be out for next Christmas, or out for the summer or whatever. I'm not in any great rush with it, you know. Of
course.
That's the good thing about growing old. You can take things easy and people accept it, you know.
Yeah. Is there any big gigs coming up that we should know about? Because I know you did the big String of Diamonds thing in the Carrickdale last year, which looked like a massive event.
It was.
And Silly was on that one too, wasn't she?
She was. It was massive. And I did two. I did for my 40th, and then last year as well. And so I've given it a miss this year. There's a lot of work in that. A lot of work putting it together. But I'm doing I'm putting a show together, and I'm calling it the String of Diamonds Show, where I'm using screens and, you know what I mean, and that's sort of it'll be a production show really.
Yes,
you know. I have 2 guys from Castleblaney going to work with us, so we're doing that, and hopefully I have it in. I'm going to be in the Inthus in Castleblaney, and there's a few theatres around the country that I'll be taking it to as well.
Yeah.
Armagh probably, and Enniskillen, and you know, so I'm planning on that. Working again, there'll be a lot of work on that, because you know, I have to get a guest with me, and we have to get all the videos together, and it'll be a nice show.
And do you keep up to date with all the new country that's happening out there and the new country artists?
I like to see the Irish girls coming up. You know, it's great. Like there was for a while there were no girls coming. It was all fellas. You know. And I used to say on the radio, where's all the girls? Like, there's no, you know what I mean? Because there's bound to be girl singers in Ireland. And now there are quite a few of them up there. There's Cleona and Lisa
and Kerry.
Kerry's great. She's a neighbour of mine, Kerry. And she was on my show. She is just great. Every time you look at Facebook, she's on it. She's telling you what she's doing, and which is great.
She's starting to get gigs in England and stuff now as well.
And Scotland. It's great for her. I'm delighted for her.
So, Susan, for any young singers out there who are watching this, what's the best piece of advice you could give them to get into the business and stay in the business?
The first piece of advice I give them is not to believe in their own publicity. That's the first piece of advice, because there's a lot of them down through the years has done that and fell by the wayside. Keep your feet on the ground and be prepared to work. But most of the girls that I know are very down-to-earth girls, and they're very nice singers, and just as long as they have their own identity. There's a lot of singers, and they try to imitate other singers, and that doesn't work.
No.
You know, because if somebody wants to go out and buy a Dolly Parton song, they want to hear Dolly Parton sing it.
Yeah.
You know, they don't want to hear somebody else sing like Dolly Parton, or Patsy Cline, or whoever. You know, so I think it's always, to me, you know, I know the singers that when I turn the radio on, I can tell, the minute they open their mouth, I can tell who the singer is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's very important. You have to know, you have to have your own identity.
Yeah.
That's the only advice I can give them, Robin.
There you go. Susan, it has been great talking to you.
Oh, thank you so much.
It doesn't seem like an interview. It just seems like we're sitting here in your living room having a chat. That's how good it is.
Well, you were so good to have me on your show, and thank you so much.
You know, you and Philomena can come on the show anytime you want. The two of you are always welcome.
And you know, the next time you're in Newry, call in and you get some of my French toast.
A French toast? Definitely, I will be there.
Yeah.
I will be there. Susan
you know
McCann.
where I live.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Robin.
Thank you.
Lovely being with you.